Hey, what is up YouTube? Kolst here with the third of 11 class reviews for the new expansion, Festival of Legends, coming out. They did officially announce it's coming out in like 2 weeks, a little bit less actually. So this is Druid, so let's just get right into this. The first card we have here is Free Spirit, a 1-mana 1/2 undead beast. Battle Cry and Death Rattle, your hero power gains 1 more armor this game. So you have to pay a slightly understated minion for this, but you know, potentially this is like a million armor, right? Like this is a whole lot of armor. Every time you hit the button, 2 extra damage, which just having 2 more armor basically makes it so you kind of upgrade your hero power into a mage so that you can hit stuff and you not actually take the damage on average, right? So pretty nice. If you do have a deck that's orienting to try to play in the long game and you just want a 1-drop, like sure, you'd be pretty happy to have this, right? However, you know, if you're a more aggressive style deck, you just probably wouldn't want this because it's not really worth it, because you just don't really care about the armor, right? But you wouldn't hate it. I mean, it's just a slightly subpar 1-drop, right? So it's fine in that case too. But yeah, you obviously would want to take this in a more control-oriented deck. In which case, you can be happy if assuming that you actually have the card draw to forgive you for kind of passing your turn with this. But yeah, again, like good card if you have some of the synergy for it, which I'll just jump right into the other card here. We'll skip to Groovy Cat because this is a very similar card. 2-mana 2/1 beast, Battle Cry and Death Rattle. Your hero power gives 1 more attack this game. So, yeah, I mean, this is the one that you're always going to care about because getting potentially +2 attack, like 2 wildfires immediately, what the hell, basically. You know, even if it gets silenced, you still turn your hero power into Hunter hero power, the best hero power in the game right now, basically. Yeah, because being able to deal, you know, potentially 3, and by the way, you can stack these, right? So then you can have your hero power deal 3, 5, 7 damage, and then you just kind of automatically win, right? It's one of these things that, to be honest, this is one of my candidates for maybe we need to ban this card, because this is like, that doesn't seem very okay, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, obviously you can combine this with the Free Spirit as well, and then you're just going to want a hero power every turn, but just, I mean, dealing like a 3, 5, 7 hero power, yeah, good luck playing against that. But with that, let's move on to the next one here, which is Peaceful Piper, a 1-mana 1/1 choose 1 card. It's a common, so you'll see it a lot. Choose 1, draw a beast, or discover 1. So that's pretty cool because, I mean, you'll know what's in your deck, right? Some of these cards can be weak because you might not have a beast, but in this case, this will always do something. So 1-mana 1/1, draw or discover, pretty cool, right? And you'll know if you have a beast you actually want to draw or not. So if you do, you'll be happy to draw it. But if you don't, you'll be happy to just discover 1. And beasts usually aren't the best. I haven't actually looked at the beast pool too much, but you know, there's a good chance you at least find something decently good. Kolak's a beast, right? So you might hit Kolak, for example, the Colossal. So yeah, I mean, you'll probably hit something pretty good. So overall, just a pretty solid card. It's a common. You'll be seeing it everywhere. And these are the those conditions there. So with that, let's get past that abomination. Move on to Harmonic Mood. This is again one of those harmonic cards, which has 2 different forms. So they do not show the other version here, but its base form is give your hero +2 attack this turn, gain 4 armor, and then it swaps each turn between that and the other form, which would be +4 attack, gain 2 armor. I'm assuming that's how it works, right? This is a little weird because as far as Arena is concerned, you'd much rather have the +4 attack most of the time, just to use it as a much more efficient removal spell, and then you have the armor to at least kind of offset the damage. And if you could, frankly, if you could always guarantee that you could get that form, this would be a pretty nice card. The issue is that it's, a lot of these harmonic cards have this issue, is that there's only one form you want, which I believe is that one, and you just only have it half the time. So the fact that it's like a card that only works half the time, that makes it a little bit weird, right? So, and as you mentioned, yeah, like you don't really care about the armor then, and I mean, it's not like Heroic Strike was a great card, right? So this just makes it seem a little bit weak because it's it's almost needlessly unreliable. So it's one of those things where you might take it sometimes, at least it goes face, right? But yeah. It's a little bit weird and conditional there. Next up, we have Rhythm and Roots, the legendary spell they announced yesterday for Druid. 4-mana nature spell, choose one secretly, summon 3 5/5 ancients in 2 turns, or 8/8 giants in 4 turns. So, as mentioned by Randomer in chat, yeah, I believe you just always take the 3 5/5s, right? Because that's already pretty greedy to play 4 mana, do nothing, and then have to wait 2 turns before they even come with Summoning Sickness. Do you really want to pay 2 more turns of effectively Summoning Sickness just to get 8/8s? It's not even that good, right? I mean, it's not that much better anyway. You're already getting 5/5s. You're already getting a 4 mana 15/15, so I think you would just always take the 5/5 option basically, and yeah, you'll know that your opponents will do this, but I'm trying to think like how good it would actually be on turn 4, and I'm not sure. You'd probably be pretty happy. You just want to have like some kind of reactive stuff to keep you alive essentially, but then yeah, you're getting a delayed 4 mana 15/15, which is a lot. Is it really better than Plus in though? Probably not, to be honest, because you just wouldn't have to pass a turn to do it. And it would be one of those funny things where you're probably going to beat this card more than you should just because people will get baited by the 8/8 option. But it's enough tempo that, you know, you'd be pretty happy to have this, I think. It's just that you would need to have a little bit of stuff to keep you alive a little bit. It's just very greedy because you effectively have to wait 3 turns before it does anything. But, you know, you'll have times that you can afford it for sure. And it probably makes it a lot weaker than people think because you'll just die a lot of the time. But, you know, sometimes you won't. Right? And in those cases, it'll be amazing. Next up, we have Spread the Word. 4 mana spell, common. Draw 2 cards, cost 1 less for each attack your hero has. So you do kind of need to have some synergy for this. Druid has a whole bunch better ways to draw cards than this. So having to hero power and then make this be Arcane Intellect, that's not a card you actually want to draft for sure. However, you know, if you actually have, you know, the ability to make your hero power really big or just otherwise to buff your attack, I mean, this thing becoming 0 mana, draw 2, pot of greed, pretty darn good, right? So it's one of those things where if you have the synergy, you just do it. Oh, what? Flavor text the bird, nice. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of dependent on synergy. You just wouldn't really want to value it without it. It's not the worst thing if you don't have any of the synergy, but yeah, anything that could potentially come prog greed obviously comes pretty good. So pretty solid there. Moving on, another thing that would synergize with it is the Tambourine, because it gives you +2 attack. This is a 4 mana 2/3 weapon. Death Rattle, summon 1 5/5 ancient. Play cards that cost 5 or more while equipped to improve. So that seems pretty cool in Arena, because in Arena you're pretty happy to play on curve a lot of the time, and then you just go 4, you play this on 4, you play a 5, you play a 6, and then you're just getting the same thing as this thing effectively, but you just also had, you know, a 2/3 weapon in the meantime as well, right? Seems pretty nice, potentially. I mean, a 4 mana 2/3 weapon is terrible, but getting a 5/5 ancient is pretty nice. One of the downsides is that there would be times where you would be pretty happy to just overwrite this and get the 5/5s immediately, but because you're a druid, you probably don't have any other weapons to actually overwrite this with. But yeah, I mean, you play this and then you just play, you know, whatever 5 drops you have, any 6 drops. Yeah, it's a lot of tempo, right? So this is just a very, very high potential card. Usually you're not losing so much that you wouldn't be able to pay this, I think. So that'd be pretty solid a lot of the time. So it just seems very, very powerful. You know what else seems very, very powerful? This next card here. What is this set? Is this like the best set ever, chat? Summer Flowerchild, 5 mana 4/5 minion, battle cry, draw 2 cards that cost 6 or more. So pretty nice to if you potentially play this into this. Oh my god. And then you just have probably another 6 drop to play with it too. But also this is like, you know, super buffed version of Ancient Allure basically. And with Finale as well, they cost 1 less. You know, when it's really easy to get your Finale off is if you just play this on curve, right? Not a very hard Finale to trigger at all. and it's not that big of a deal even if you had to miss it. But you're not paying anything for this finale because, you know, you wouldn't have been able to play these cards you're drawing anyway. And they don't have to be minions, they could be spells as well. You can get like Scale of Onyxia off of that. Is Scale rotating out though? I don't think so, right? Oh, maybe it is. It probably is actually. No, it's chat. Help me out here. Is Scale rotating out? Yeah, you can draw spells or minions. So because it's spells or minions, you'll be pretty likely. Okay, Scale is, so that hurts. But you'll probably have things. Obviously, if you draft this, you're going to want to have things to actually feed it. But you probably will, right? You do need that, but it's just a whole lot of value. Because the fact that you're drawing your big cards, right? Just one of these just guarantees you just won't run out of value for a very long time. So very, very good there. And with that, we move on to Drum Circle. 7 mana spell, choose one, summon 5/2/2 Treants, or give your minions +2/+4 and taunt. So if you don't know, Treants were actually buffed to 1 mana, which doesn't really matter because you're summoning them here anyway. But so it's a little interesting because it's one of these cards, you know, sometimes you're going to want to use it either way. The thing is, like, I mean, you compare this to like Party Up, right, in Paladin. Party Up's a lot better just because you get Random Rush, Divine Shield, Lifesteal, Poison, that kind of stuff. So just getting the 2/2s makes it not great, but potentially you can also use this if you're winning to give all your stuff 2/4 and taunt. Which, if you can hit this on 3 minions, you'd probably be pretty happy to do this, but that's a little bit hard to do. So it's one of those cards where you're going to get value one way or the other. I mean, although you're opening yourself up really hard to AoE or Deathborn or whatever, if you choose the Treant option, you're probably going to prefer a lot of the time to try to get that buff. If you can, it's just you're not always going to be able to. So overall, I mean, it's one of those cards that it's just a good amount of value sometimes. It's never going to be completely useless. I think there are just better cards in the game. Like, it's just a lot of things you just rather have. But this is one of those things you wouldn't hate to have now and then. It's like an okay card, basically. An okay big value card, which can activate, you know, your Summer Flowerchilds and other things like that. Now let's move on to the last card here, which is the legendary Zoc Fogsnout. A 7 mana 6/6 Quillbore Battlecry, summon 2/1/1 Quillbore with Taunt, improved by your hero attack and armor gained this turn. So I guess the idea would be that you buff up your hero power a bunch, and then you play this on turn 9 with a giant hero power. Yeah, obviously. I mean, let's face it. If you have a 5 attack hero power, you probably want anyway. Like, do you really need this? Let's be honest. I believe the way it works is that the attack buffs its attack and the armor buffs its health. So you would actually need armor to make this good. And, you know, that one's a lot less valuable. And if you're just getting like a 5/1 or whatever, it's not even good. So this one's just not a card you're ever really going to draft. If you happen to have a whole bunch of ways to give armor or whatever, I guess it's just hard to pull off. I just don't see it really. But, you know, it could have its moments. Maybe you can't really discover Quillbores either. Yeah, this is just not a card you'll ever see. So that's it. But I guess Druid had to have one bad card in the set, I guess. So overall, yeah, this is definitely going to be one of the strongest sets probably any class has ever gotten, period. But yeah, just no terrible cards except that legendary, I guess, but yeah, some really insane cards. So very, very good set for Druid. We will be seeing a lot of those. It does appear, but anyway, with that, thanks a lot for hanging out with you guys in the next one.